which means, pranidhan means to submit to the Supreme Controller and offer one's head, say, please direct me. This is a sort of prayerful mood, pranidhan. And if one does this, then very quickly one is in the state of yoga, because yoga means connection. And one can become connected very quickly through sincere prayer, which is rare, because prayer oftentimes becomes rote. It's maybe memorized, it may be said every day. The monks might come together, a family might come together at the table, a congregation might come together, and they'll say the prayers, and they'll say, and everyone just repeats what they're used to repeating, but no one really thinks about it. In fact, one of our great teachers in the line of Bhakti, Rupa Goswami, warns against this, and he says, don't just say prayers for the sake of saying them, say them from your heart. He says, in a Sanskrit word which has two meanings, niyamagraha means to perform these rituals only for the sake of doing them, just because, well, I have momentum, and if I don't do them, I'll feel bad about myself, or something like that. And this means following them just for the sake of following them. This is called niyamagraha. But neglecting them altogether is called niyamagraha. So the word can go either way. So the process of bhakti prescribes offering prayers. But what kind? What should they be like? What should be the mood of one offering the prayers? And definitely not simply for the sake of saying them mindlessly, but they should be from the heart. So how can one do this? How can one actually offer prayers which are from the heart? That's not a rhetorical question. I'm actually asking if you'd like to comment on that from your own experience when you offer prayers. Kanka, the microphone's coming back to you really fast.
Well, when I do it, and I don't know if this is right or not, but I just try to really concentrate on my heart, and that Krishna's in my heart, and that I'm trying to be as sincere as possible in my offering of the prayers. And I also read this one article in BTG. It was by, I can't remember his name, but he always writes really great articles. And
BTG is a magazine called Back to Godhead magazine.
Yes, sorry about that. And then he explained how when he was doing, first couple times he ever did yoga, he wasn't breathing. And his teacher told him, well, you're not getting the benefit. You got to do the deep breathing. It's a very important part of yoga. And then he realized that a very important part of chanting Hare Krishna and also offering prayers was to be in your heart. And that way you'll start feeling that loving feeling that we're all searching for.
So, offering prayers from your heart. Thank you very much. Sudip?
In response to Hare Krishna Maharaj, in response to how to offer prayers from my heart, in my experience, it is about how badly I feel that I'm incapable of solving anything by myself. And when I really understand that, hey, it's beyond me, naturally the hands go up, it's beyond me, and naturally the cry comes out from the heart, and it's 99.999999% of the time the result follows, and the 0.001 I really can't think, but which is probably may not be that, but yes, the result just follows.
Nice. So yesterday we talked about this mood. You can pass the microphone. Oh, you all the way to the back. Yeah. That's a particular mood that Queen Kunti brings up in her prayers, is that one should be a kinchan. And she says that Krishna is a kinchan gochara, which means he responds to those who don't have any other recourse. They don't have anything. The word kinchan means something, and akinchan means I don't have anything. I'm bereft. And when one calls out and offers a prayer in that mood, then Krishna responds. Yes?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. So I was saying that it's a feeling of love and an attitude of total surrender. And most often that can only happen when you're grateful, I think. And that's more prayers of being grateful versus...
Out of love and gratitude.
request. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Any other comments? Yes, Vishakalila and then Shraddha.
The feeling of helplessness is very important. Which Sudeep Prabhu said, I second that. And it should be very sincere, and there should be a purpose for the prayer. Like we are really opening our heart and requesting the Lord to reciprocate either with our feelings of love, gratitude, or helplessness.
Thank you very much. So, Shraddha?
One thing which I noticed, Maharaj, is that the few times that I've prayed really sincerely, it's not one of the standard prayers. It'll be something that I will make up on the spur of the moment, and for the few times when I use some of the standard words, I'm going very carefully over the words, and like they're all in Sanskrit, so I'm doing that in my native language and making sure that there's a communication happening. And also these prayers happen at any time and any position, any posture. It's not necessarily that I'm in front of the altar. I could be in my office sitting on my chair and praying really sincerely there because I'm stuck.
Okay, so you can pray anywhere at any time, and that oftentimes these are not standard prayers. They are prayers that just come from your heart naturally out of spontaneous need to pray or out of appreciation or gratitude or something like that, right? Nice. So do you all have a feeling that it is natural to pray and to put out a prayer sometimes at least? Yes? Yes, Kanka, and then Gandharvika.
For me, because I was raised in the Catholic religion and we learned how to pray from a very early age, it seems very natural to me. But I was wondering if it's really natural for other people who weren't raised like that. It's kind of hard to ask that question in here because so many people in here were raised.
I wasn't raised in.
Oh, okay.
My parents never took me to any church, except for once on Christmas Eve. We went to see a jazz performance downtown in a church, but I was not exposed to prayer at home either. My parents didn't pray at all. But I found it came naturally to me later in my life when I became introspective and started really thinking about how to solve the problems of life.
And your father said, "How did that happen? How did you get like that?"
I said, "We didn't teach you that. What happened to you?" So I'm a case, definitely a case study, anecdotal, but I'm a case study. Yeah. Gandharvika?
So, Prabhuji, I realize that though we have grateful heart and we may be in difficulty, but how much the importance of the higher association, the pure devotees, is so important that sometimes even when we are in difficulty, we might pray, but we may not be able to sustain unless we have that pure association to rekindle our desire to take shelter in the right attitude all the time.
I'm glad you asked me that. Did you read the title of the class?
No.
Oh, okay. I happen to bring with me a book, I'd say one of my favorite books, the Sharanagati and the Gitavali by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Actually, this book inspired a lot of us when we had a regular meeting at our home in Burlingame, and there were maybe 15 or 20 devotees meeting every week. We'd meet at our house. We did for maybe 15 years or something. And at one point, I got a hold of this book, and we started reading it. It has a lot of prayers in the form of songs that Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, or songs in the form of prayers. And as we started reading it, all the devotees were so spontaneously attracted to the translations and the songs in it that they all said, we all want a copy. Remember that? And then I called to see if we could get everyone a copy, and they said, sorry, it's out of print. If you want it, you have to reprint it. And I said, how much? And they said, $3,000. So we took up a collection, and the devotees paid for it. And that way, we got a few copies for $3,000. And it's still around. It's really a beautiful book. And I was going to read a couple of prayers from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because Gandharvika makes a really good point that if we hear some of the prayers written by those very advanced souls, and we can actually pick up their mood. And that's what I noticed when we read this book. The devotees really were melted by these prayers. So this book is called Sharanagati, the first part of it. It's in two parts. The first part, Sharanagati, means the path of surrender. And this is the platform on which the bhakti is carried out. You have to have this platform of surrender. If there's no surrender, there's no real bhakti. No submission, no bhakti. And so in the path of surrender, there are 6 divisions. One is to accept those things which are favorable for one's spiritual life, and the other is to reject things which are unfavorable. And then to consider that Krishna is one's sole protector. Another is that he's the sole provider. And another is to always consider oneself to be very humble, or to be very lowly and fallen, and that way be humble. And the other is to give everything. Give one's possessions, one's thoughts, one's very self in the service of Krishna. So that's the 6-fold path of surrender. And in the very beginning of this book, Sharanagati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur expresses from his heart this mood of humility. And I'm going to read a couple of the translations from this, and we can get sort of a taste. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu descended from the eternal spiritual world along with his personal associates and divine abode, incarnating in this temporary material world out of compassion for the fallen souls. In order to freely distribute the gift of ecstatic love of God, which is very difficult to obtain, he taught the path of Sharanagati, devotional surrender to the Supreme Lord. This Sharanagati is the very life of the true devotees. The 6 ways of surrender through Sharanagati are 1. Dainya, humility. 2. Atma Nivedana, dedication of the self. 3. Goptritve Varana, acceptance of the Lord as one's maintainer, only maintainer. 4. The consciousness of Avashya Rakshibe Krishna, Krishna will surely protect me, which is Vishvas, faith in Krishna's Palana, protection. 5. Bhakti Anukul Matra Karyena Swikar, execution of only those acts favorable to pure devotion. And 6. Bhakti Pratikul Bhav Varjanad Gikar, renunciation of conduct averse to pure devotion. Sri Nanda Kumar, the youthful son of Nanda Maharaj, hears the prayers of anyone who takes refuge in him by this 6-fold practice of surrender. That's very interesting, a little bit esoteric, but as far as who hears our prayers, when we talk about Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks a lot about Paramatma, who's there within the heart of every living being. And Paramatma is a feature of Krishna who's associated with the souls in the material world, because once one leaves the material world, there's no need for Paramatma, who's there overseeing and permitting and the activities of the conscious living being. And so is it Paramatma who hears our prayers? Or as he's praying here to Nanda Kumar, who refers to Krishna in the spiritual world, who's hearing? Does Krishna hear? But he's kind of busy, isn't he? In the spiritual world, isn't he kind of busy? Maybe omnipresent, but, well, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about how he, in the spiritual world, Krishna is preoccupied, himself almost forgetful at sometimes. You know, in the pastime of Krishna entering into the mouth of Agasura, when he sees his friends go inside first, then he says, what's going on? He becomes slightly bewildered. He becomes slightly bewildered by his own internal potency in the spiritual world, and there's a way in which he becomes so absorbed in those pastimes by the power of his internal energy that he's forgetful of his position as Ishvara. He becomes the child of Mother Yashoda or the friend of Subal and the lover of Radharani and so forth. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says he hears those prayers from this world that are particularly needy. In other words, if one is absolutely surrendered and offers prayers, those are the kind of prayers that Nanda Kumar Krishna hears in the spiritual world. Otherwise, get in line, because there's a lot of people praying for a lot of things. Bhaktivinoda prostrates himself at the feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana Goswami, places a straw between his teeth, and clasps their lotus feet with his hands. Weeping and weeping, he tells them, I am certainly the lowest of men. Oh, please make me the worthiest by teaching me the ways of Sharanagati. So now in the next song called Dainya or Humility, he gives a sample of the feeling that one has when one feels extreme humility. O Lord, I forgot you and came to this material world where I have experienced a host of pains and sorrows. Now I approach your lotus feet and submit my tale of woe. While still bound up tightly in the unbearable confines of my mother's womb, O Lord, you once revealed yourself before me. Appearing only briefly, you then abandoned this poor servant of yours. At that moment, I thought, after my birth I will worship you, but alas, after taking birth, I fell into the entangling network of worldly illusions. Thus I possessed not even a drop of true knowledge. As a dear son fondled in the laps of relatives, I passed my time smiling and laughing. The affection of my father and mother helped me forget you still more, and I began to think that the material world was a very nice place. Day by day, I gradually grew into a young boy and began playing with other boys. Soon my powers of understanding emerged, so I diligently read and studied my school lessons every day. Proud of my accomplished education, later I traveled from place to place and earned much wealth, thereby maintaining my family with undivided attention. I forgot you, O Lord Hari. Now in old age, this Bhaktivinoda very sadly weeps. I failed to worship you, O Lord, and instead pass my days in vain. What will be my fate now? With great enthusiasm, I spent my time in the pleasures of mundane learning and never worshipped your lotus feet. O Lord, now you are my only shelter. Reading on and on, my hopes grew and grew, for I considered the acquisition of material knowledge to be life's true goal. How fruitless those hopes turned out to be, for all my knowledge proved feeble. Now I know that all such erudition is actually pure ignorance. All the so-called knowledge of this world is born of the flickering potency of your illusory energy, Maya. It is an impediment to the execution of devotional service to you. Indulgence in mundane knowledge verily makes an ass of the eternal soul by encouraging his infatuation with this temporary world. Here is one person who has been turned into such an ass, who for so long has carried on his back the useless burden of material existence. Now in my old age, for want of the power to enjoy, I find that nothing at all pleases me. Life has now become agony, for my so-called erudite knowledge has proved itself to be worthless ignorance. Material knowledge has now become a pointed shaft and has pierced my heart with the intolerable burning pain of ignorance. O Lord, there is no treasure worth seeking in this world other than your lotus feet. Bhaktivinoda abandons all his mundane knowledge and makes your lotus feet the sum and substance of his life. When I was young, I felt a boundless ambition for earning money. At that time, bearing in mind the codes of religion, I accepted the hand of a wife. Along with her, I set up a household and therein wasted so much of my time. Many sons and daughters were born, and my spirit was totally crushed. The burden of family life increased day by day, and under its weight, I felt my personal progress in life forcibly come to a halt. Old age came and beleaguered me on all sides, making my mind incessantly disturbed. Diseases trouble me. Constant anxiety has made me feverish, and my heart burns with every want. I see no way out of this predicament, for all is darkness. Now I am very much afraid. The current of this worldly river is strong and relentless. A frightening, gloomy death approaches. Finishing my worldly duties, I will worship you, O Lord. That hope is now fruitless as well. Now please hear me, O Lord. I am utterly helpless. Bhaktivinoda says, without your mercy, everything is lost. Please give me shelter at your lotus feet. My life is ever given to sin. In it there is not a particle of good. I have caused others great anxiety and have troubled all souls. For the sake of my own enjoyment, I have never hesitated to perform sinful acts. Devoid of all compassion, I am concerned only with my selfish interests. Perpetually speaking lies, I become dejected upon seeing others happy, whereas the misery of others is a source of great delight to me. There are limitless material desires within the core of my heart. I am wrathful, fond of exhibiting arrogance, intoxicated by vanity, and bewildered by worldly affairs. I wear the cherished ornaments of envy and egotism. Ruined by laziness and sleep, I resist all pious deeds, yet I am very enthusiastic to perform wicked acts. For the sake of worldly fame and reputation, I engage in the practice of deceitfulness. I am victimized by my own greed, being always lustful. A vile, wicked man such as this, rejected by godly people, is a constant offender. Devoid of all good works, forever inclined toward evil, he is worn out and wasted by various miseries. Now in old age, deprived of all means of relief, this humbled and poor Bhaktivinoda submits his tale of grief at the feet of the Supreme Lord. O Lord, please hear the story of my sadness. I drank the deadly poison of worldliness, pretending it was nectar, and now the sun is setting on the horizon of my life. I spent my childhood in play, my youth in academic pursuit, and in me there arose no sense of discrimination. In young manhood, I set up a household and settled down to the spell of material enjoyment, while my children and friends quickly multiplied. Old age soon arrived, and all joys consequently departed. Subjected to the torments of disease, I am troubled and weak. All my senses are feeble now. My body is racked and exhausted, and my spirits are downcast in the absence of former sense pleasures. Devoid of even a particle of enlightenment, cheated of the mellows of devotion, what help is there for me now? O Lord, you are the friend of the fallen. I am certainly fallen and the lowest of men. Please therefore, in mercy, lift me to your lotus feet. Were you to judge me now, you would find no good qualities. Have mercy and judge me not. Cause me to drink the honey of your lotus feet and thereby deliver this Bhaktivinoda. Did you have any thoughts about that? These prayers? What's that, Damodar?
I always like this prayer, especially in the morning. It makes, there's no limit of egoism. It just simply crushes and breaks.
What else?
I'm always amazed at how I can relate to so much. Not amazed. I can relate to so much of what Srila Bhaktivinoda is saying in as far as the qualities that I see in myself that I wish to overcome. And he puts it so eloquently and so succinctly. He covers it all.
Thank you. Hatsapriya?
Just makes me think that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, such a self-realized soul and so much blessed with such a nice knowledge, and he has so much humility expressing this thing, and he's definitely is the one showing us the path, but otherwise it just feels like crushing in this material world. So grateful that he has at least given us something to look into.
Yeah, it's the anatomy of what dainya, or utter humility, is, this feeling. And it's different from low self-esteem. Low self-esteem means that one is self-centered and actually thinking in such a way that one loses one's ability to actually act in the world and becomes more self-centered. But there's a difference between that and dainya, or utter humility, in which one is seeing one's faults in relationship to the pinnacle of spiritual advancement and so forth. And in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, Narada Muni talks about this dainya and says this dainya, utter humility, comes in proportion to one's advancement in devotional service. And it's not that one actually is becoming less and less qualified, but it's that one is actually becoming more and more humble as one becomes more qualified. And this is a paradox. But we notice in these prayers that kind of akinchan agochara, or akinchan means I don't have anything. I'm bereft of any good quality. And there's a taste in that one then completely takes shelter in prayer, not doing it for some self-motivated reason, but is completely offering oneself and saying, I'm bereft of everything. Nirkula? Just keeping the microphone back there. Go ahead.
I really like that point where he said, I wear the jewels of egotism and envy. That one really stood out to me.
Yeah. And it's sort of a contrast. We talked yesterday about the verse, Trunadapi Sunichena. We were talking about this topic yesterday morning, 7:30. We have a meeting here in the morning. And there's a famous prayer or instruction given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who founded the Bhakti movement 500 years ago, in that he says, in order to pray very deeply, one should be as humble as a blade of grass, as tolerant as a tree, and ready to offer respects to all others without taking any respect in return. In that way, one can go on chanting. And sometimes these particular qualities mentioned in the verse I just recited are called, they're like jewels. And in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the author has said one should string those around one's neck. Now the opposite, Priya Kishore is bringing up how he says, I have these cherished jewels of envy and egotism and material consciousness. I exhibit my egotism and my envy in various ways, and these are the jewels of material life. So they have to be replaced. Shraddha.
So Maharaj, in the prayer towards the end, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that in the old age my body was wrecked, and I did not know the meaning of wrecked. What does it mean? And so apparently the dictionary says that it's wrecked is kind of like a wire from where things are hung. And I was just thinking about another prayer where Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about habu dubu, how Maya, dunks us every now and then. And I was thinking, Maya dunks you the whole life and then, racks you towards the old age. And, that'll help you.
Does this sound, is this too pessimistic for anybody? Too much? Gandharvika?
So Prabhuji, I was just thinking, because then there is no economic development at all if I actually offer these prayers when we are young especially. But when we see Bhaktivinoda Thakur's life itself, but he didn't live like what he is saying. So how do we do that?
Yeah, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very successful. He was in India. At the time in India, he was one of the only, it was like on the Supreme Court. As a justice on the Supreme Court, which was really rare because India was occupied by the British at that time, and there weren't a lot of Indians on the high courts. But he was so qualified, and came up through the system that he was appointed to that, and they wanted to keep him too because he solved more cases than anybody else, twice as many, and they all stuck. In other words, some judges would be very quick. But not as efficient. But he was efficient and quick at the same time. And he was very much admired by not only his colleagues, but also by the British government as well. And he was an author over 100 books, brilliant scholar, and recognized as a luminary of the time, not only for his scholarship, but also as a great bhakti yogi, practitioner of bhakti. Pure devotee. Still, he's feeling like this internally out of humility, out of extreme dainya. Did you have a question? Yeah.
I was just asking, like, how is it practical for us? Because he's an elevated soul, and he comes with this realization. But how do I offer this prayer every day and also be competitive in what I do?
Competitive?
In what I do daily, so that I can sustain constitutionally and also conditionally.
Kanka is brimming with the answer. Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada once wrote us a letter when we first got married and said you should follow in the footsteps of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And I think our lives are like, this is stated that our lives are like a train track, materially successful and spiritually successful. So those two are very important, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a great example of that, being successful materially and spiritually. But in his old age, he's really getting into the heart of his prayers and saying how he wished he could have done even more for Krishna, even though we all know that he only slept a few hours a day, and the rest of the time he was writing profusely. He would do his bhajan and his artiks, and also he raised so many wonderful Krishna conscious children. His wife was Krishna conscious, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is one of his children that he prayed for to appear.
Did I answer your question? You were saying, how can we do?
Yes. Means Mataji's really set me context and what Prabhupada wants, but any practical?
Reading the prayers of great advanced souls doesn't mean that we should imitate. We may have whatever realization we have at any stage is a gift, and we should conduct ourselves accordingly. In fact, the Shastra says that Swe Swe Adhikarya Nishta Saguna Parikirtita Viparyo Dosha Syad, that there's a way in which we have a certain qualification, and if you act according to your qualification, then that's called a good quality. And then he says, Viparyo tu dosha syad, that if you try to do more than you're qualified for, try to act in such a way, like for instance, imitate someone who's more advanced in your speech or in the way you act, or try to cut down your sleep to 2 hours a night or something like that, then this will be a fault. And interestingly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur then comments more in that's from the Bhagavatam. Bhaktivinoda Thakur comments on that verse, and he also says in his Chaitanya Shikshamrita that one shouldn't try to do more than one's qualified for, and one should also not do less than one's qualified for. And then he compares it to climbing up a ladder, and he says that when you put your foot on the rung on the ladder, and then you feel secure, then you can move to the next rung. But you should be aware of when you're secure and when you can move up. And Keshava Bharti Maharaj wrote an offering, a Vyasa Puja offering for Srila Prabhupada maybe 10 years ago, that I read, and I deeply appreciated it. And it had to do with remember Keshava Bharti Maharaj? Yeah. So he wrote he talked about Prabhupada's life. And Prabhupada, referring to, he's the founder of our modern Krishna consciousness movement here in the West. So he came in 1965 to America from India, and then on his own started this movement. And he talked about, and he came when he was 70 years old. And so late in life, he was able to actually execute the order of his spiritual master. So Keshava Bharti Maharaj analyzes what was Prabhupada's life like. Was he always, we saw him, those of us who were here when he was here, and everyone else who can read his history and feel his presence, that he was, a Paramahamsa. He was walking in the world, but never touched by it. Every movement was sublime, and so forth. And what about his earlier life? What about, what was it like? What was he doing back then? Was he always doing this, traveling around the world just teaching Krishna consciousness and so forth? Well, he had, he went to school. He had a family life. He had a business for some time, and so forth. All the time he was cultivating his Krishna consciousness and in touch with it. But at each stage, he had a particular way that he surrendered to Krishna. And it was different from the way he surrendered when he took on this role of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. And Keshava Bharti Maharaj points out that if we try to compare ourselves to him in his role as a Paramahamsa later in life, or Bhaktivinoda for that matter, and then say, well, why can't I be like that? And you're still in a different stage of your life, then that will be artificial. You should see what is the lesson that you need to learn in the stage of life you're in right now according to your qualification, and then act according to that. Vidyam chayas tad vedo bayam saha avidyayam ratum tirtva vidyayam ratum ashnute. The Sri Upanishad, one of the books of the Vedas, talks about how one who, those who have a life of spiritual pursuit alongside their other material requirements, living for those other material requirements, learn from that juxtaposition, because you have both things going on, and you learn a lot of lessons from that. So you do what you can according to your qualification in the position you're in now. You surrender according to how you're supposed to surrender at this particular time in your life. And then as you go forward, there'll be different levels of surrender and realization. Yes.
A question. Yesterday we were talking about being materially exhausted as kind of the easy path, in a sense, the easier way to find Krishna or be with Krishna, correct? Right? So,
well, I wouldn't say easier path. I would just say that we were saying that someone had asked the question, how can I actually pray with sincere feeling and so forth. And I said it requires material exhaustion.
So in this case, he's not materially exhausted at all. He's quite wealthy, but he's able to pray.
But that's not a prerequisite for being materially exhausted. There could be a way in which that you can be fully ensconced in what appears to be material life, living in as a judge and so forth, and you can be materially exhausted,
and not be attached.
And not be attached. Or you could give up everything and go to the forest and be completely attached. I mean, there are people that don't have anything. They don't have any wealth and they don't have any means in life, but they're completely attached to the material world. And there are other people that have everything, and they did it through methodical study, through being dutiful, for showing up for their work and everything, but they're materially exhausted. And in the Gita, Krishna says, Brahmanyadaya karmani sangam tyakva karoti lipyate nasapapena padma patram ivambasa. That you should live, he tells Arjuna and all of us, in the world like a lotus that is in the water, it's in the mud. It's actually a lotus flower is called pankaja. Panka means mud, and ja means to be born. So it's born out of the mud. It lives in the water, but it's never touched by the mud of the water. And the reason that it's not, and the reason he says, the way in which we can also live like that, he says, is if you do your work, but you're not attached to the result. You're not claiming that for yourself. Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyakva karoti yaha. So the work that you're doing, you don't have any real connection to it because the result is the big thing everyone works for. It's not because they love their job, right? Am I correct? Or can we test it out and say, if you go in tomorrow to your work, you have to go in tomorrow to work, anybody? And the boss says, you can keep coming in, we just won't pay you anymore. Will you keep coming in? So you don't really love your boss, do you? Or your work. It's the the money. So anyway, there's a way in which he says don't be attached. And also it doesn't mean don't take money for your work. It means utilize everything. And this is an often quoted verse. I just read it twice this morning and once last night when we had a reading that Srila Prabhupada gives to show how this works. A verse from Rupa Goswami in which he says, Anatasya vishayan yatarham upayunjita nirbandha krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagya muchite, which means, it's called yukta vairagya. Yukta means to, how to connect everything. It's a kind of detachment by learning how to use everything in the right way. So, like sannyas, the word sannyas, sang comes from samyak, which means completely, and nyas means where you place something. Like we put these marks on our forehead and other parts of our body as a spiritual ritual every day to remember that it's a temple. And there's a mantra you put on in every place where you put this mark, right? Am I correct? Yes. Okay, good. So that's called a nyas. In doing this puja, it's a nyas because you're placing it somewhere. And so sannyas means you know how to place everything in the right place. And where is the right place? You have to connect it to the divine source of everything, Krishna, and use it properly. Then you may be moving all kinds of material energy, but because you're moving it for Krishna, you may be writing books, you may be a high court judge, you may be anything. It doesn't matter, but because you've connected it properly, it's sannyas. It's completely connected and it's placed in the right way, and therefore it becomes transcendentalized. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in this, throughout his life, he showed that example, and Kanka Prabhu was bringing that point up, that there's a way in which you can be connected to Krishna through your work and through all the different things that you do, and be completely detached and materially exhausted also, even as you're going through your worldly duties.
But just to add on, if you feel yourself affected by, let's say, corporate America, if you're working in corporate America and you find it difficult to maintain your practice or your sadhana, and etc., then it's better to remove yourself from that, isn't it? Do you agree?
Well, that's a pretty general statement. It really depends on your situation. I mean, I'm not really fond of corporate America, I guess. Kind of bugs me too in a lot of ways. But, I mean, the whole material world is a cause of annoyance when you really look at it. And what is your duty at the particular time?
Right.
For instance, if your duty is to, sometimes you're more renounced to actually go and do your work than to just to walk away from it. I mean, that's one of the themes of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna says, I don't like my work anymore because I'm up against this challenge. I have to face family members in the war, and I think I'll quit. And nobody likes a nonviolent policeman or warrior. You know, and he has to do his job, Krishna says, but do it in a detached way. Kadambakananda Swami tells how he decided he would take sannyas. Sannyas is one of the orders of life when one gives up family life and all money and everything and becomes like a monk. And but he was married at the time, and so then he realized that before he could do that, he had to go back to work for a few years and work really hard, harder than he worked before, in order to get all his material affairs in order so that he could leave his wife a house, place to live, and an income, you know, that she could live off of and things like that, and then he could renounce. So he said, the path, my path to renunciation required a little extra hard work. And so it depends on the circumstances. You have to see how you're properly aligned and what your motive is, and then it can be properly applied. That make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah, but I don't, you know, if you can get out of corporate America, that's always nice. Ikanka? And then Malin?
There's three examples that I was thinking of when she talked about wealth. There's great devotees who had great wealth, like Maharaj Ambarish, King Patraparuja, and the story about in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about Gadadhar's guru. They were all very wealthy. I can't remember his name.
Pundarik Vijayanidhi.
Oh yeah, Pundarik Vijayanidhi. It's a great story. But anyway, though it's showing how even though they had great wealth, they were such surrendered and such sincere and incredible devotees.
Nice points. Maharaj Ambarish is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was a king, an emperor. He had unlimited wealth, but he used all of it in Krishna's service, so it became transcendentalized. And Maharaj Prataparuja, although he was the king of Orissa, he came out and did something which was unthought of at the time. He picked up a broom and he swept in front of the Ratha Yatra cart. In fact, a lot of people thought that was really a bad social move, you know, because a king to pick up a broom at that time was considered to be degrading and so forth. But he humbled himself in front of the Ratha Yatra cart, and so he was also glorified. And Pundarik Vijayanidhi looked like a complete materialist, and one of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, Mukunda, knew that Pundarik Vijayanidhi was nearby, and he knew he was a great devotee, so he went to Gadadhar Pandit, who was a simple, very pure devotee from the beginning of his life, and he said, "Would you like to meet a pure devotee?" And Gadadhar Pandit said, "Of course, please take me right away." So Mukunda took him to the house of Pundarik Vijayanidhi, and it was an opulent house, and when they came into the room where Pundarik Vijayanidhi was staying, he was reclined on a beautiful bedstead with very nicely oiled, scented hair. He was being fanned by some servants, and he had all the most expensive amenities in his room, pottery and pictures and everything you can imagine in a fancy house. And then Gadadhar Pandit thought, this is a pure devotee. And Mukunda could understand what he was thinking. So then Mukunda uttered a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Aho Bhakiyam Stanakalakutam. It is a famous verse from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, in which Uddhava says, "Who would take shelter of anyone else besides Krishna? Who's so merciful that he delivered Putana, who was disguised herself as one of his nursemaids and mother, but it was actually trying to kill him. And he benedicted her, he gave her the highest liberation, and didn't even consider the fact that she tried to kill him and so forth. So this verse was a prayer by Uddhava, and when he said it, just hearing the words of the prayer from Uddhava in his ears, Pundarik Vijayanidhi went into an ecstasy of devotion and began flailing his arms. Nothing in the room was spared, all the pottery was broken, his pictures were scattered, his hair went haywire. His servants came in and tried to hold him down, but nobody could hold him because he went into such a fit of ecstasy. And then he went into almost a comatose condition for 6 hours out of ecstasy. And Gadadhar Pandit was standing there watching, and he said, "I've made an offense to a great devotee." And on the way back to home, Gadadhar Pandit said to Mukunda, "I made a big offense." He said, "I can only rectify this by taking initiation from Pundarik Vijayanidhi." So when they got back to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mukunda said, "Gadadhar Pandit wants to take initiation from Pundarik Vijayanidhi," and Mahaprabhu said, "Do it immediately." So he became the disciple of this Pundarik Vijayanidhi. But in this story, we find an apparently very materialistic person. As we talked about, there are very many reasons, but one cannot understand the mind of a Vaishnava, of a pure devotee. Pundarik Vijayanidhi was a great devotee. There are many other pastimes of his which are there in the Chaitanya Bhagavata and so forth, which I won't recite right now, but they're very intimate pastimes with Krishna. And it's externally hard to discern what is that, actual position of a pure devotee. However, it is important that there are verifiable symptoms of an advanced devotee. If someone says that we'll just take it on the symptoms that somebody displays in ecstasy, somebody can imitate those kinds of symptoms. But Madhvacharya says an advanced devotee always has at least 2 symptoms, and that is steadiness and mukya prasada, which means that that person speaks for the benefit of others. And that's an interesting point, because Arjuna asked this question to Krishna in the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. What is the symptom of somebody who's in fixed consciousness, who's in spiritual consciousness, called stita prajna? And he wanted to know, how does he speak? What is his language? How does he walk? How does he sit, did I say? Can he sit even? Can he sit? Is it possible to even sit for a few minutes? Or do you have to jump up and run somewhere else? And so how a person speaks is very important. The fool is not discovered until he or she speaks, and then he or she becomes revealed. So that these verifiable symptoms of actual advancement are very important. So when great devotees reveal their hearts through prayer, we can enter into that mood, actually. And the point I brought up about reading this book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur is that he's left behind this literature so that we can read it and actually taste some of the mood that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has. You'll find in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion, that one who has association with pure devotees can also experience these symptoms of devotion to some degree, just like when one is exposed to the moonshine, one becomes illuminated by that light. And so similarly, the hearts of great devotees, they illuminate the world. And one of the ways that we can take advantage of it is through reading their prayers and so forth, so we can hear what is their thought process. And it always feels, singing his bhajans and these songs and hearing the prayers, explained that we have a window where we can actually see what it's like to live in the spiritual world in that mood of a pure devotee. So these are very important. So this is one. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has many bhajans, and we sing a lot of these songs. Some of them are very upbeat and joyful. I mean, they're all upbeat, actually. One can't say this is not upbeat. That's why I asked, did you think it was pessimistic? But actually, a devotee, paradoxically, who's experiencing such ecstasy and feeling very sober and feeling lowly, is actually experiencing the highest ecstasy. There's a picture, a classic picture of Prabhupada, where he looks very grim. And one of the devotees asked him, like, you were sad about something? He said, no, I was experiencing ecstasy at that point. So very difficult. But this is the symptom of spiritual qualities that on every level, whether one's feeling separation or this kind of deep humility or regret even, there's a taste of deep happiness in that. Unlike when one is lamenting for one's own, because of one's attachments in the material world being taken away and so forth. Kanka?
I was just thinking when you were talking about that, there's a god sister of mine who died of cancer several years ago, and everyone who would walk into her room would always see her blissfully as she was deteriorating and getting near death. But she would be blissfully reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, and she would smile and she would say, "They say I'm dying, but I feel very blissful."
Who was that?
Kunti.
Oh, Kunti.
Karnamrita's mother in New Vrindavan.
I see.
And she died holding, Radhanath Maharaj was holding one hand, and when she passed, and Varshana Maharaj was holding her other hand when
Where
she
was that?
passed. At New Vrindavan.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, very practical. You see, many have dedicated their lives to practice of Krishna consciousness, and then you can see also in the final days. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, who also died of cancer, he was emaciated, and he was obviously in a lot of pain.
Racked with tumors all over his body.
And one of his comments was, when he was there with Radhanath Maharaj, was, "It doesn't get any better than this." That experience. So there, yes? More? Oh. Malini, yes, please.
Puji, these prayers of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I feel that as Virakula Mataji was saying, they're not only relevant, but they're relevant at every stage of your Krishna consciousness. Even a new person who may not know anything about Krishna consciousness, but when they read their prayers, they can understand and relate to, like, being attached to family, reading books, or taking some degrees and studying and all those things. And after you come into Krishna consciousness also, you feel that there's a new level of dainya that you feel. And I was thinking we can make a list of all these things, and could be our anartha checklist, where you can check off, like, if you at all pass through.
Maybe we can make an app. An anartha app. A little meter show the envy going up or down. It's a very nice point, and this is, I don't know if we mentioned in this class, but about manana, which is self-inspection, looking and seeing what one's own, being very introspective and noticing one's own qualities. I think I did mention it yesterday, or maybe it was, I don't know. We've been a lot of places recently. Sachinandan Maharaj, in his book called Gayatri, writes about manana, and he quotes from a shastra that recommends this as a process for purification, which means that one should be introspective and notice what is one's state of consciousness. Look at the subtleties of it, and do notice what these anarthas are. And in that awareness, be repentant. I know that sounds like a sort of an archaic word or something like that, but it's very powerful medicine, this regret that these things are there. And Prabhupada mentions in the story of Ajamil, who had started his life as a dutiful Brahmin or priest and came from a good family and everything like that, and somehow, just by chance, he slipped and he became wholly dedicated to every kind of debauchery that you can imagine. And he had got a reprieve because at the time of death, although he had been so morally unsound throughout his life, he had one good quality, and that is he had a son that he named Narayan, which is the name, one of the names of Krishna. So in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is talking about the power of chanting God's names, that even though he wasn't intending to call to Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was only calling his son. Because he was saying the name over and over again, he was getting purified by that. And then, at the time of death, which is a transitional point, no doubt, when you have to leave the gross physical body in your subtle physical body and move on to another destination, otherwise known as transmigration or reincarnation, there's, believe it or not, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, a judgment that takes place. In other words, there's a summing up of all of one's activities. What is the composite? What is your what was your life like, and so forth. And all of that taken together determines where you go in your next life, the composite of your consciousness. And so there are agents that carry one who's very, boy, I keep trying to avoid the word sinful because it sounds very Catholic. I'm trying to be sensitive. Degraded? I don't know. Because of that, the Yamadutas, they're messengers of Yamaraj, the Lord of Death, came, and there's a way in this very interesting technology described in the Bhagavatam of how there's a subtle ropes that they tie around the subtle body of the person, and it's very real. It's just like being really in a dream. If you're tortured in a dream, if you're carried away, you're trapped or something like that, although it's not really happening, it is at the same time because you're still suffering. So the Yamadutas had actually just about wrapped up their case and put the noose around his neck when the Vishnudutas, the representatives of Krishna, of Vishnu, came and they challenged the Yamadutas, said, you can't take him because he's rectified. And why? Because he said he uttered the name Narayan, and therefore all of the sinful activities that he had committed in his life are rectified by that utterance. He didn't say it with the intention of clearing all those sins, but he did it innocently, and therefore it had power. And after that discussion between the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas, and they had a intense debate, philosophical debate about who was right, and finally the Yamadutas relented and they let him go. And then Ajamil turned to the Vishnudutas to say something to them, and they disappeared. And now he took it upon himself to go the rest of the way in his devotional practice. He went up to Hardwar and he began to intensely practice his bhakti. And then when he left his body, the Vishnudutas came back and they picked him up in a Vaikuntha airplane. That's how you travel back. And so that in that Prabhupada mentions the power of his regret. After actually seeing the two sides and examining his entire life and seeing what had happened to me, how I had fallen, how I had become degraded, and so forth, he regretted it deeply. It didn't mean sometimes people give up their practice. They'll say, I'm too fallen, I can't practice. But that's not a good idea either. One should go on, and we hear in Bhaktivinoda's prayers here, he regrets. He's putting out this feeling of regret. I wasted my life, I didn't do anything good at all. So that sense of regret Prabhupada says it burns up the reactions to any last anarthas one has in one's heart, and is very powerful. Kanka.
I have a friend who's not an initiated devotee who actually named his son Narayan because he saw that puppet show.
So we should have more puppet shows then, right? That's the purport to that. I thought I brought a prarthana with me from Narottam Das Thakur, but I don't see it here now, unless it's hiding in here. And I would like to read another prayer from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's set of prayers in which he prays to Gopinath. And this is something that this is a prayer, it's written in the form of a song that has deeply moving prayers. May I? Okay, I'll read some of this. This is called Gopinath, and it's in several parts. This is from the Kalyana Kalpataru, one of the books that Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote. And he says, O Gopinath, Lord of the cowherd girls, please hear my prayer. I am a wicked materialist, always addicted to worldly desires, and no good qualities do I possess. O Gopinath, you are my only hope, and so I have taken shelter at your lotus feet. I am your eternal servant. O Gopinath, how will you purify me? I do not know what devotion is, and my materialistic mind is absorbed in fruitive work. I have fallen into this dark and perilous worldly existence. O Gopinath, everything here is your illusory energy. I have no strength or transcendental knowledge, and this body of mine is not independent, being controlled by material nature. O Gopinath, weeping and weeping, this sinner begs for an eternal place at your divine feet. Please give him your mercy. O Gopinath, since you can do anything, you have the power to deliver all sinners. Who is a greater sinner than I? O Gopinath, you are the ocean of mercy. After entering this phenomenal world, you expand your divine pastimes for the sake of the fallen souls. O Gopinath, although all the demons you killed attained your lotus feet, this Bhaktivinoda is so sinful that he has remained in worldly existence. O Gopinath, please remove the torment of worldly existence. I can no longer tolerate the pain of ignorance and the cycle of repeated births and deaths. O Gopinath, I am a confirmed servant of lust. Worldly desires are awakening in my heart, and thus the noose of fruit of work is beginning to tighten. O Gopinath, when will I wake up and cast this enemy of lust far away? And when will you manifest yourself in my heart? O Gopinath, I am your devotee. But because I abandoned you and thus forgot my real treasure, I have worshipped this mundane world. O Gopinath, you know everything. Now, having punished your servant, please give him a place at your lotus feet. O Gopinath, is this your judgment, that seeing me averse to you, you abandoned your servant and bestow not even a particle of mercy upon him? O Gopinath, I am certainly very foolish, and I have never known what is good for me. Such is my condition. O Gopinath, you are indeed the wisest person. Please find a way to bring good fortune to this fool, and please do not consider this servant an outsider. Any of these prayers, there's the Sri Prarthana, just manifested somehow. Any of these prayers, if one takes to heart and recites regularly, one will find, just like if you're grinding spices, the more and more the flavor comes out. And so it's recommended in the Nectar of Devotion, reciting notable prayers is one of the ways of performing what is called vandanam, or praying in bhakti. So you can choose from amidst Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayers. There's Narottam Das Thakur's prayers in the Sri Prarthana, and you'll find it in this book, which is commonly available, the songs of the Vaishnava Acaryas. and many other Acaryas, and by studying them, you actually get their association, and you can begin to take on their qualities and the mood of those great Acaryas. And this is a very powerful way of praying, through study of the great devotees and how they pray. And you'll find that the Srimad Bhagavatam, practically speaking, is replete with prayers from great devotees. Each chapter has some prayers. There are prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, prayers of Kunti Devi, Prithu Maharaj, personified Vedas, Brahma, the Prachetas, Shiva. Lord Shiva gives his prayers. Residents of Jambudweep. There's a couple more, right? Narada Muni, Uddhava, Prahlad Maharaj. Huh? Acaryas' prayers are very famous. He's going into Vrindavan in a very interesting situation. Acaryas riding on his chariot, and he's been sent by the enemy of Krishna. He works for him. He runs the taxi service. So he says, go pick up Krishna. We're going to bring him back, try to kill him. And so Acaryas said, I'll go pick him up. And all the way there, he's praying. He's saying, I'm sure Krishna will understand why I'm picking him up, which is very interesting because, you know, the external condition may be you're going, you know, in a dastardly deed, which is, you know, against the, you know, what you think would be pure devotional service, but all the time he's thinking and praying, oh, I'll get to meet Krishna. Krishna will put his lotus hand on my head, and you know, he'll call me uncle, and all the way he's just thinking of Krishna. And then he says, because he knows my heart, surely he'll know that I'm his pure devotee, that I have no other motive. And this is resonant with what Prahlad Maharaj says in his prayers, that although he was born of a demoniac family, and he's only 5 years old, and all the devas had tried to pacify Lord Nrsingadev, but they had failed because he was so angry. They pushed Prahlad forward, and they say, he came for you, you try. Prabhupada said it was like pushing a 5-year-old boy into the cage of a lion. Because Nrsingadev was there, a fearsome form, had just torn apart Hiranyakashipu and made a garland out of his intestines. Is this okay stuff to say at Sunday program? and then they said, you go try praying. And Prahlad Maharaj said that this is a big task, because look, I'm following all these devas, they know Sanskrit, they're in the mode of goodness, they have all these qualities. But then he says, I think that all these qualities don't really satisfy you, Krishna. And he names all these things like strength, wealth, influence, beauty, renunciation. He said, I don't think these really make you happy. You're not interested in that. And then he remembered Gajendra, who was an elephant. And that's an interesting case of prayer. Gajendra was an elephant. He had been a sage in his previous life, called Indradyumna, but he was cursed by he had been a king in his previous life, and he had been cursed by a sage to take birth as a dumb elephant. So he was born on a heavenly planet as an elephant, and he thought that he had it pretty good, because he was the king of the elephants, and he had a really nice family, and he lived in a really nice neighborhood in Swarga. And one day when they were all going to the beach for a little picnic, they were all following him, and he was a little intoxicated, and he was feeling good. I mean, I heard a horrible story, but just the other day, about a woman who was driving on the freeway, and she was listening to this new hit song about being happy. And she was on her, don't ever do this, but she was like taking pictures of herself as she was driving, and then telling her friends how happy she was. And meanwhile, she went over the meridian and crashed, you know, and died instantly when she hit a truck. And this is sort of the I hate to say the way it goes in this world. Once I was in Vrindavan on a parikram. I was walking around Govardhan Hill, and I saw a happy family go by me on a flatbed rickshaw. You know those flatbed rickshaws? Because some people, they don't want to walk all the way around, or they can't, so they sit in the rickshaw and they have them pedal around. So the whole family was there, and the rickshaw driver was running behind just slightly behind. And the father was riding the rickshaw, and everyone thought that was hilarious in the family. And they were all laughing, ho, 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 ha, ha, ha. So I was walking along, and they went past me, and then I heard all this laughing, and I was just busy chanting and walking along, and then all of a sudden, I heard all this wailing and crying, and I looked up, and I saw the rickshaw was gone, and it had gone over the side. I mean, they weren't killed or anything like that. I don't mean to be too macabre here, but they were seriously shaken up. They went down into the sticker bushes and who knows what else down the side, you know. It wasn't nice. And they were crying and wailing and appalled and just astounded that that could have happened. And when I walked past the whole scene, there were people there rescuing them and things like that. And I just saw that from 1 second laughing, ha ha ha, ho ho ho, and next second crying and wailing in the sticker bushes. And this is how it goes. So Gajendra was thinking, you know, I'm happy. I got a full refrigerator, full tank of gas, money in the bank. This kind of feeling in the material world is like, I'm good. You know, people, you have a nice day, you can feel the breeze on your body, and you think, I'm happy. Maybe I'll give up this, you know, well, you know, what do I need God for, and so forth. Gajendra, anyway, Gajendra was happy, he was satisfied. He was in the water of the big lake, and he was helping his family bathe. He was spraying water on them, like elephants do sometimes, taking some trouble. And then, as everything was going well, suddenly, crocodile grabbed his leg. Bang. And he was startled, and he began to struggle. And he thought, I'll beat this. I'll beat this. But after 100 years of struggle, he started to realize that I can't win. And there's a moment in everyone's life when one thinks, this is it. I can't win. I'm going to go down. And that will come to everybody in this world. It's not unique to Gajendra. And at that time, because in his previous life he was accustomed to reciting prayers, he then, although he wasn't aware of who Krishna was or who God was or anything like that, there was a feeling in his heart, I need help. And he began reciting prayers that he remembered from his previous life in that precarious situation. And there's a way in which the devas listened and they heard that, and they said, no, that's not for us. And then Narayan heard it, and he said, that's my devotee, I'm going. So he came and rescued Gajendra and so forth. So that's who Prahlad remembered. He said, Gajendra bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayutapaya. He remembered that Gajendra, although he was an elephant, because of his devotion, he was saved by Krishna because of his prayers, his sincere prayers. So he said, if Gajendra can do it, anybody can do it. If an elephant can pray and become successful, then I'll try. And he said, this is the actual formula for success, he says, if you're sincere. And you offer prayers from your heart, even if you don't know Sanskrit, even if you don't know anything, if you're sincere in your heart, even if you're an animal, you'll be successful in your prayer. So he offers a prayer at that time. And Prahlad Maharaj then begins to offer his prayers that you'll find in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, yes.
One of the things about Prahlad Maharaj, even though Lord Nrsimhadev was so ferocious and so humongous, and everyone was so frightened because he had such a growl and everything, Prahlad Maharaj, just being a 5-year-old boy, said, you can't fool me, I know who you are. I know who you really are. And he did hesitate when he wanted to offer prayers, and Lord Nrsimhadev touched him on his head and actually gave him that ability to be able to offer all those beautiful prayers. And one of those prayers, Srila Prabhupada sang without music or anything to the Beatles, to John Lennon and George Harrison and Yoko. Actually, 2 of those prayers, Prahlad Maharaj prayers. He just started singing them to them.
Yeah, it's a nice point that he was empowered by Lord Nrsimhadev. And at that time, Lord Nrsimhadev put his hand on Prahlad's head, like one might do for a little boy. And Prabhupada mentions also that when we chant Hare Krishna, we're in the same situation because we're touching Krishna. Krishna is touching us when we say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. He said, don't think there's any difference between that and Prahlad Maharaj's proximity and being touched on the head by Lord Nrsingadev. And another young boy was Dhruva Maharaj. And although he didn't have the wherewithal to offer prayers, although he was a great yogi, when Lord Narayan, in the form of Prishnigarbha, touched him on the head with his conch shell, then he became empowered to offer prayers. So we might consider that also, that one can pray to be able to offer prayers. Pray to pray. Yes, Sri Govinda Datto.
Hare Krishna. I was just reflecting on your previous section of Ajamila. You mentioned death is a time of transition. So like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly mentioned at the time of death, whatever thoughts are, one has to take this destination. But what if some thought is there at the time of death, but after that, if somebody had a mistake in thinking about something and then thought like option B, like where because mind is flickering, so is there any substitute? Because free will is still maybe there with us as a soul.
Well, in a couple places, Prabhupada mentions the portfolio of your life. In other words, it's everything you've done in your life comes to bear at the end. There's a composite. And even if you're not, if you've dedicated your entire life and if there's an errant thought at the last minute, there's a way in which it's not that there's some technical penalty or something like that. But Krishna remembers you and all you've done. And therefore there's the prayers in the Sri Upanishad in which the devotee says, this is a powerful prayer. Vayuranilam amritam atedam bashmantam shariram om krato smara kritam smara krato smara kritam smara. Let this temporary body be burned to ashes, and let the air of life be merged with the totality of air. Now, O my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you are the ultimate beneficiary, please remember all that I have done for you. And in his commentary, Prabhupada says that the devotee doesn't have to remind Krishna all that he has done for him. And then also that if somehow or other the devotee is not able to remember Krishna at the very end, then Krishna will remember him for all that he's done. I was talking to Ratnabhushan Prabhu in Los Angeles also. He told me that he had a friend who was in the military, and he had well, not a near-death experience, but what do you call it when you actually die and then you come back? Out-of-body experience. And sometimes people, they're actually technically killed, their heart stops, and everyone thinks they're a goner, and then suddenly they come back, and then they live to talk about it. You might have seen these before, heard of them. Satyadev Prabhu, who was a paramedic, told me that at least several times he had treated patients who had had this happen to them, and they talk about what happened and so forth. And so anyway, Ratnabhushan Prabhu was telling me that one of his friends had had this happen in the military, that he had technically died. And afterwards he said, well, he asked him what it was like, and he said his whole, now this sounds cliche, and it is, his whole life flashed before his eyes. You've never heard that before, right? My whole life flashed before my eyes. He said, what do you mean by that? And he said, you can't understand it until it actually happens to you. He said that everything I'd ever done in my life, I saw all at once in front of my consciousness. Everything, but it happened in an instant. I actually saw every incident in my life. Now, I can't even remember what I did yesterday, to be honest with you, except for I know I was here for the class, and you can verify that. I was here at 7:30 or 7:31 or something. And a few other things. But if you go way back, people remind me all the time, says, you remember this? And I go, oh, wow, I forgot. We even said that or did that or whatever. There's so many incidents in our life we may not remember at all. But our memory is stored in a way that, for one who is dedicated to their life to Krishna, Krishna assists that person. He's the source of remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And if you've dedicated your whole life, you have a portfolio that is will come before your eyes at the time of death. But we should still be careful and not think, I'm good. You know, it's just like people who study for a final exam. The ones who usually fail are the ones who say, I'm good. You know, I already read that stuff, you know. The ones who do well are the ones like up to the last second say, put your books away. Now take the test. We should study like that. Wait till the last second. Every moment you have, put it in. Don't expect an honorary degree or something like that.
Thank you so much for a nice answer, Babuji. I had to the same point, I had a follow-up question in the other one. You mentioned about this Ajamila, after he saw the discussion between Vishnuduta and Yamdutas, he became very serious and he made all the way through. So what decides actually that we are kind of taking a back step again? Because Bharat Maharaj has passed Nishtha and was in Ruchi Bhava. Still he actually made a mistake and he had to take two more lives. And personally in my life I can see like there is a thick and the thin stages in the mind in Krishna consciousness. So is there any stage that comes after which we don't actually becoming thinner but only thicker? And what decides that?
Yeah, those stages are described in some detail in the Madhurya Kadambini by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who talks about how there's varying degrees of purification. The only completely absolute purified state is prema. And then even the results of one's, actually even beyond that is when one's seeing Krishna face to face in prema. And then he says there's absolute complete eradication of all one's previous anarthas, which are caused mostly by aparadha or offense to the devotees and to the holy name and so forth. And then those are then there's a platform at which there's no chance of slipping. And mentioned in the Bhagavatamrita is by Sanatana Goswami that great souls like Bharat Maharaj actually, they show us by example how to be careful. He says there in his commentary that such great souls are teaching others that you have to be careful at every stage. And that's the hallmark, Prabhupada says, of an advanced devotee, is that he or she is careful and doesn't consider that I'm liberated. As soon as you say that, I'm liberated, I'm good, you're finished. That very second when you say, I'm okay, I can take liberties because now I'm liberated, then you're in a very dangerous condition. So one should always consider oneself in a precarious situation at every moment and not take it for granted. And that's great souls like Bharat show us that. Jagarini, you had a point. About a mile ago.
You said it. I was just, Krishna remembers you at the end.
Nice.
You elaborated on that perfectly, so I...
Okay. Kanka?
Srila Prabhupada said the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Yeah.
So,
and the higher you climb, the harder the wind blows. So watch out. Yes, Ramananda Saka Prabhu's been going to break his silence over here.
I have a couple of questions. This is regarding the point you said that who actually listens to our prayers is the super soul or Krishna. And at another time I heard that all the deity forms that we see are really an expansion of the super soul. But on the other hand, we have different deities, like we have deities of Krishna, deities of Ram, deities of Narasimhadev. So when someone is praying to a particular form of deity, still, where are those prayers going? Just the super soul, irrespective of the deity to whom he is praying to?
Well, you notice when you mention Ram, if Hanuman, you know that famous picture where he's opening his chest and you notice who's inside? You see Paramatma? You see Paramatma?
No, he's Ram and Sita.
Well, according to the bhava or the motion of the devotee, Krishna manifests in Ye yata mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham Mama Manuvartante Manusha Parta Sarvashaha. According to one's surrender and mood of surrender to Krishna, he reciprocates in a particular way. We hear in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksa Daiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The one who's praying to the Lord, who's in this state of prema, is seeing Shama Sundar Krishna. He's not seeing the Paramatma. And Mahaprabhu talks about this progression in his Shikshashtakam about how he's addressing the Lord as the Lord of this material world. He said, Na danam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha, jagadisha kamaye. Jagadisha means the Lord of this material world, Jagadisha. But past that, then he begins Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam. He's talking about Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan and so forth. So it depends on the advancement, the mood of the devotee. Krishna responds accordingly, according to one's surrender to him, and manifests in various ways within the heart of that practitioner. Because actually, ultimately, there's no difference between Krishna and the Paramatma. They're the same person. But according to one's relationship, that Krishna will manifest and accept service in a certain way.
The second question I have is regarding the various deities. Like there are some deities which are self-manifested versus the deities which are made by humans. Is there any difference in terms of potency when praying to a self-manifested deity versus the deities that we install by ourselves?
No. And when we say deities that we carve or manifest ourselves, may be slightly misleading because anyone who carves a deity has to do it according to the instruction of the Shastra. So it's, one should follow the process, whether one's painting a picture of whatever. And Krishna says that he manifests in various forms of material nature according to how the devotee brings out the deity according to Shastra. So if one's prayer is sincere and one is praying to the deity accepts one's prayers. And now we are going to chant, for those who want to experiment with a very powerful prayer, but we give a warning that this is very powerful prayer, very strong medicine, this mantra. It's a Maha Mantra. You can recite, it's got 16 words, 32 syllables. And it comes from the Kali Santaran Upanishad. Now, if you like, there's some spaces in between to tighten this chanting session up. If you can fill in some of the spaces and come a little closer, and then some of the devotees in back can move closer. What we'll do is we'll chant this mantra together. And those of you who would like to try it on beads, we have some devotees passing around beads. They have hopefully exactly 108 beads. And at the end of the string of beads, there's a predominantly larger bead. This is called the Krishna bead, or the head bead. And then, of course, yours may be all the same, but many japa strings actually start with a large end and it goes to a smaller set of beads at the end. We started with the larger set, and we don't chant on the Krishna bead or the head bead. And we use this middle finger and the thumb to roll each bead like this. So we would say one mantra like this: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then move to the next bead Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is a form of meditation and prayer at the same time. The prayer is, O my Lord, O energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. And the names Hare, Krishna, and Rama, there's 3 words. Hare is in the vocative or prayerful form of Hara, who is the feminine, compassionate aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna means the all-attractive. He's the attractor who attracts everyone. And Rama means the highest spiritual happiness. Ramante yogano anante satyananda chiratmani iti rama padena su param brahma vadiyate. Those who know the Supreme as Rama know that he's the source of all spiritual happiness. And so what we'll do is we'll chant in unison, and we'll go all the way through what we call 1 round, which is a very advanced practice. And you can develop this practice at your home. If you do, it'll change the way you see the world and everything in your day. And just after this, we have our japa monitor, Sundarananda Prabhu, who's wearing here he is, he'll stand up for you. He's wearing the brown shirt, and he's got the green bead bag with the red lotus feet on it, and a huge smile. And afterwards, if you like, you can go up to him at his table back there, and he'll issue you some beads if you want to take some beads with you. If you plan on chanting 1 round a day, they're free. And if you'd like to buy them, they're $100. So better just chant 1 round a day. And he'll give you personal instruction about how to chant 1 round a day. He'll give you some literature about it. And also, if you'd like to sign up with his program, he'll get you on a list. And some devotees, they'll say, I'm going to chant 1 round a day, or 2, or 4, or 8, or 12, or 16 as a minimum, as a vow. And then he'll be the one you can come back to and say, okay, I made it this month, and he'll mark you down and help you make your vow, like a personal coach. Is that good? I think I'll check in also. Okay. So I'll say 1 mantra, and you can repeat after me, and then we'll all go together. And also, with cell phones, please turn them on and turn up the volume as loud as you can. Because if your cell phone goes off during the chanting process, there's a slight penalty. You have to buy 1 set of Srimad Bhagavatams. And that costs $250. So if you can afford it, we ask you to text your spouse, tell her or him to call you, and turn up your phone really loud. And Malini, who's over here laughing at this idea, appreciating, she will come and collect the money from you, okay? Is it a deal? Please say yes. Okay, everyone's in. Got your phones on? Okay. So I'll say, and then repeat this first mantra, and then we'll start off together with the Hare Krishna mantra. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this vibration is from a different stratum. It comes from the spiritual world. Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtan. And the names of Krishna are non-different from Krishna. They have all the personal powers and qualities and form of Krishna, and it fulfills all desires. And one who chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will experience for oneself feelings of detachment and knowledge from the chanting, and one will also experience that there's no other sound like it anywhere in the creation. It's from beyond the creation. It requires a little bit of patience and listening because the mind tends to interrupt at every moment, and therefore we recommend that you take a regular practice, pick a number and do it every day. Don't go below that number. And you'll give yourself a chance to experience for yourself directly the power of this chanting. And this is the primary process recommended in this present age of Kali Yuga, when there's so much disturbance from cell phones and everything else, that it's hardly, who knows what else is going through the ether that we can't even see that is disturbing our minds and hearts. The chanting is powerful enough to overcome all that. So please see Sundar Ananda Prabhu to get set up on our chart if you like, and you can register yourself as one of the regular chanters. You can start your home practice. Just one point is that the speed at which we chanted today was to accommodate a chanting in unison, but normally those who have a home practice chant a little bit faster because some devotees chant 16 rounds. They go around 16 times back and forth. And you can record yourself chanting on some recording device and listen to it back and see how you're pronouncing all the syllables. And you might, in your home practice, speed up a little bit. You might also chant a little softer so you can hear. But the main point is to focus the mind on the chanting and listen to the sound vibration. And remember that there's nothing else to be had in the 14 worlds except for the Hare Krishna mantra. And that way your mind will be in a very steady and concentrated state, and you'll experience for yourself the full benefits of chanting. I thank everyone for coming today and all those who joined us online, on the internet, and we're very grateful that you came. we're going to have the next part of our program, which will be, we'll stand up and we'll sing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and you can dance to your heart's content. There's a song we sing that will be projected on the 2 screens, and also it's written on this board called Gora Artik, which is a very beautiful poem about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. And just after that, we'll be chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Please feel free to express yourself by singing from the heart and dancing to your full content. After that, there'll be a couple brief announcements, and after that, we'll be serving out a vegetarian feast for everyone who's come today. And now we'll have a few minutes to pick up all the book stands and the asans and put them away, and then we can stand up and perform the artik. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Oh, my drum's in the car.
Is the keys here?
I think so. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatyarishatadine. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aroti Koshoba Janavi Sakavane Jagamana Loba Jagajana Mana Loba Jagajana Mana Loba Gaurangera Rothiko Shobha Jagat Janamana Lobha Gaurangera Rothiko Shobha Jagat Janamana Lobha Jagat Janamana Lobha Jagat Janamana Lobha Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Sai Gaur Hari Bol. Take the incense out. Sai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Sai Gaur Hari Bol. Dakhe Nainitai Chan Ame Gadadhara Nikate Advaita Srini Vashchakradara Bose Ache Gaurachan Ratna Singhasane Arati Korina Brahma Ari Deva Gane Nara Hari Ari Kore Chamara Dhulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Basu Goshari Gaya Shankha Baje Ganta Baje Baje Karatala Madhura Mridanga Baje Paramarasala Madhura Mridanga Baje Paramarasala Madhur, Madhur, Madhur Baje Madhur, Madhur, Madhur Baje Shankha Baje, Ganta Baje Madhur, Madhur, Madhur Baje Shankha Baje, Ganta Baje madhur 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 baje. Madhur 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 baje. Madhur 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 baje. Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Sai Gaur Hari bol. Sai Gaur Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Sai Gaur Hari bol. Bahu Koti Chandra Jini Vadnana Hujala. Babaho Koti Chandra Jini Vadana Hujala. Kala Keshe Vanamala Kori Jalamala. Kala Keshe Vanamala Kori Jalamala. Shuka Narada Premi Gada Gada. Shiva Shuka Narada Premi Gada Gada. Akati Vinoda Deke Gaurara Sampada. Akati Vinoda Deke Gaurara Sampada. Gaura Premanande. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Missed it. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gauranga Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. 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 Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jaya. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jaya. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai. Govinda, 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 Govinda. 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 Hey, Govinda, 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 Govinda. Govinda, 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 Govinda. Govinda, 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 Govinda. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Gaur Premanande Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privadikacharya Stotar Shishiman Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privadikacharya Stotar Shishiman Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gogopinath Shamakunda Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Sri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Samabeta Bhaktavrinda Ki. All glories to the Sammal devotees. All glories to the Sammal devotees. All glories to the Sammal devotees. Go Premanande. Namaste Narashinghaya. Prahlada Dayane. Hiranyakashipur Vakshaha. Shilatanka Nakalaye. Ito Nishingha Parato Nishingho. Yato Yato Yamitato Nishingha. Bahira Nishingo Dedaye Nishingo. Nishingamaring Sharanam Prapadye Gavakara Kamala Vare Nakamaduta Shringam Dalita Eranya Kashi Putanu Bingam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jajagadisha Hare Jajagadisha Hare Jajagadisha Hare Tavakara Labare Nakamaduta Shringam Dalita Eranya Kashi Utanu Binga Keshavadrita Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ji ki, Sriman Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsingadev ki, Gopremanande, Tagore Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Tagore Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We welcome everyone to the Sunday Feast program at ISKCON of Silicon Valley.